Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, yes, it's the last one, I promise, but I've been working on those floral jackets again. And yes, I did a gold triangle on the back of this one. I absolutely love working on this fabric.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So last time you saw each of these jackets, they're both as they were. This one, you're seeing it in daylight now. So I originally did some flower-shaped beads, hung them down off beads, and then I didn't like it was really gappy and spacey and the colours were a bit wrong. So then I added in some Byzantine looking beads, the gold and the solid purples, caramels, browns, mauves in there as well, and sort of made it more chaotic, and it just totally matches the actual fabric of the jacket again now. And so, yeah, I only did the bottom though, so I still have to go up the center front and around the, do the rest of it. So, yeah, this video, I'm finishing what I started basically. So, yeah, so at the end of the last video, I'd done just a little bit with the strings of beads and flowers, but now I'm adding the Byzantine sort of looking ones, the solid gold, and it is amazing how much those solid gold little pebbles brighten up the jacket. It's just amazing. And the solid little blocks of colour, they're just these silly little tube beads in plastic, but they look really good in this jacket. So here is my beads. This is what I'm going to use up in this jacket. I'm not sure, how I do a design feature on the back that's either a red triangle or a triangle that matches the jacket. I'm not sure whether to do it in the Byzantine, like to match the jacket, the beads that I've used on the jacket, or make it really, really bright, opaque red, not transparent red, so it sort of sits in and doesn't stand out, make it a really standout one. I'm not sure what philosophically I want the design feature on the back to achieve. So that's something for me to think about while I do all the rest of this beading. So basically I do one side, I've done up one side, which takes a couple of strands. Oh, this is me pointing out that because this is a cotton lawn fabric, it's actually quite see-through. And yeah, but it's going to be, eventually, it's going to be lined with silk, so that won't be an issue then. And you see how I've got the little keys over the shoulder, the rise of the shoulder? I think I couldn't really decide whether or not to do them for this one because the sleeves are smaller, but I think I will do it because there's such a difference in the pattern on the sleeve to what I've used on the torso of the jacket, and it will just, having a little row of beads there will just sort of help make the transition look less awkward, I think. Anyway, back to beading for me. So once I'd finished the Byzantine beading on the two front centres, haven't done the neckline yet, I decided that the next bit I should do is the two cuffs, the flowers around the two cuffs, because depending on how many flowers I use up on these cuffs, it will sort of depend how generous I can be with the flowers around the neckline and the rise of the shoulders. So I've got to do these two first. So I've done one, and there's 28 flowers in each one, and I did them, and then magically the other one gets done as well. So I'm going to have 2 rows on the sleeves, and I decided to do, so I've done the bottom row on both sides, and then for one side I'll do the second row of flowers, and then on the other side I will do just I'll double down on the bottom row. So this is me showing you the like I'm sitting at my bench and I've got this up on the sideboard. So those 2 yellow pins, I'm not going to do the second layer of flowers in like under the arm. I do need one layer so that the whole thing looks like there's flowers around the whole thing. But yeah, the second layer will just be, instead of all 28 flowers, it'll be 20 flowers. So the 8 bits that are that little bit under the arm won't have the second row. So yeah, so I've put pins in where the second row should be, but instead of and you can see the weight of so the other one has 2 rows of beads with flowers, and then this one I've just got the bottom row of bead with flowers, and then I've put the Byzantine in as well. And as you can see, the whole sleeve, because the weight is so much more, the sleeve is sort of sitting how it's going to sit. So yeah, you can sort of see what it's going to look like. So now I will go and do the rest. I just thought I'd show you 2 different ways that you can bead it. You can do both layers of the bottom, then do both layers of the top layer. Or you can do 2 sets of flowers and then fill in the Byzantine afterwards. I would say doing the 2 rows of flowers is probably easier because you have to tie on and tie off on the reverse, and the less weight you have on the outside, the easier it is to tie on and tie off your string. So yeah, doing multiple levels and then going back and filling in multiple levels is tricky. But yeah, it's actually easier to do the 2 lightweight layers of the flower beads on strings of beads, then go in and fill in the heavier beads, in my opinion. Anyway, I shall now go fill in the rest. This is some time later. I've actually finished, but I'll show you the whole painful process. So here we go. I've done, I have to go watch what I just did. Anyway, so yeah, I think I'd done 2 of 4 on one side and I'd done a different 2 of 4 on the other side. So then I filled in the first one, and that was relatively painless because I wasn't tired. And then with the other one, so the first one I ended up finishing, I'd done the flowers on the bottom level, and then I'd filled in the Byzantine beading on the bottom level. Then I did the flowers on the top level. Then I did the Byzantine on the top level. So that was relatively painless, and I didn't get my thread knotted and things like that. This side here, I was tired. So part of the difficulty with me was that, yeah, I think it was just that I was tired, and you have to sort of pin up the sleeve, turn the cuff up, pin it into stab a long pin into the mannequin, and then yeah, so it was really tricky to tie on and tie off the second sleeve. But I think part of that was me just being completely overdoing really complicated work. And this is me pointing out that I'm actually using up in the Byzantine, the second type of beading that I'm doing with the gold pebbles and then the plastic little tube, gold petal, plastic little tube. Well, I've almost finished the plastic little tubes. I've got enough of everything. And as it turns out, I've got enough of those plastic little tubes to do both sleeves. But I was also going to do the rise over each sleeve, on each shoulder, just do a little bit of beading there. So it's finally finished here. And yeah, it took me a while, but yeah, it's finally done. So I still have the triangle on the back to do, still have the neckline to do, and those tiny little rise bits over the shoulders. I think I will do them just because I like it so much on the Keys jacket. But yeah, it's looking good. I think this kind of beading would look good on a slightly longer sleeve too. And that way the beads would sort of drip down to your elbow. I think they're just sort of above it at the moment. And I think if they dripped down a little bit past your elbow, that would be pretty too. So I could keep going with this jacket, or I could move back and do some delicate work with tinier beads and those tiny, tiny jewellery keys on the right of return or the boho keys jacket. I'll stop, have something to eat, have a coffee, and decide, I guess. Or it has turned over into spring, so I could actually make some jackets. Oh, bless. I've done like 3 or 4 videos on these jackets. I clearly like working on these jackets. Anyway, I had something to eat. I bought it. Yeah, anyway. I had some healthy food, but I also had 2 donuts. And now, so I'm just sort of doing inventory of what I've got left. Can I just say that this was a really good bead mix? I originally had this idea, it must have been a year or 2 ago, of these particular colours. And then I was originally going to do it on a plain brown fabric or a sequin brown fabric. And then I ended up, ironically, using, because it was kind of based on the fact that I had this toy frog when I was a kid, and its underside was this 1970s floral print. Anyway, cotton. And yeah, but anyway, this is a really good bead mix. I think the dragonfly jacket, the bead mix I made for that, is probably still my favorite bead mix. But this one, the 2, like the jackets that I've made, they're pretty good. So anyway, I've got enough to do a little bit on each shoulder, on the rise of each shoulder. And yeah, around the neckline, I'm going to have to use some, I don't know, I get out my bead soup and I try and find some more beads. You know, these little plastic tube ones, I try and find some more of them, but I do think I have some more somewhere, but none that I can find without going through various boxes of beads, which every time I get a box of beads out, they're just so much fun. I just start thinking about what I'll do with each bead. So anyway, I decided to just use what I have because there's still lots here. I'll just have to be really strategic in where I put them. So I got out all the little plastic tubes, and remembered I've got these orange plastic ones as well. They're longer and they're solid plastic, but they kind of look the same. So this is what I've been using, the gold pebbly ones plus the plastic tubes in the various colors. So that's what I've been using so far, and I'm like, well, how can I just throw a few orange ones in here so that they sort of look similar? And this is what I've gone with. I don't think the one at the bottom of the screen, I don't think that works as well, but I think if you put the orange one in the middle, then I think that works. I think that looks similar to what I've been doing. So I think I'll do that. And I thought I had more of these orange ones, but I guess I used quite a few of them on the keys, boho keys jacket. So I do end up getting out the bead mix and tipping it out and finding every single one, but there's only about 10 of them. So here's the bead mix. I ended up tipping it into a plastic container. Oh, and the donuts I had were 2 cinnamon donuts, not 2 big donuts. So yeah, anyway, yeah, so then I didn't get, as I said, there aren't that many of the orange ones, but I think it's enough to be going on with. Around the back of the neck, there won't be as many of the plastic tubey ones, but I've got these, they're plastic, but they look like glass faceted beads, so I'll use them around there instead. I do have these 1970s ones with gold in them, but I don't think I'll use them. I think they're a different sort of genre, and I think we'll just keep it with what I have, use up what's here. There are lots of flowers, so I think there's definitely enough to be going on with. So I made a little dividing wall, and that's going to be the rise of one shoulder, and that's going to be the rise of the other shoulder. So I'll do that first, use up what I have, and then, oh yeah, I've got some orange, like monarch butterflies. They're sequins, but I think I'll just leave them for a bit. I'll do all the beads, and if it looks like it needs a little something still, then I'll add a few of the orange sequins. But yeah, and this is where I got distracted by my cookie jar full of spare beads, and I decided to carefully tip these ones out because these have got some hand blown glass beads in there as well. So I had to very, very carefully tip them out, and I sorted some of them because sometimes you just need a break from what you're working on. So they're all different purple and apricot ones, pink and apricot ones, sorry. And that fluoro yellow and green one, I'm thinking of doing one of my vintage brooch jackets. I'm thinking of doing one in like sort of cream, beige, fluoro yellow, and bright green. Maybe. Anyway, so these ones I think I'll use in the vintage brooch one as well. Sort of have a big pearl and then some glass beads, gold beads around it, and then some of those ones to look like tiny little chips of gemstone. And these are the hand blown glass ones. I think I'll make a sort of a few weird, unique brooches in each of the vintage brooch jackets and use up some of those in that perhaps. And these faceted glass beads, they're really, really heavy. But again, I think I'll do one in the center, then pearls around the outside, and then gold beads around that sort of thing. Anyway, back to this one. It is time to do some more beading, I guess. Oh, and I was just looking through the photos and the footage. This is what the cropped jacket looked like before it had any beading on it, and this is what the two of them look like now. There's so much work in this jacket, and actually there's so many beads. Like, there's a decent sized bag worth of beads in here. It's amazing. You spend years and years and years carefully curating this collection, and then you use it up in a week. It's pretty awesome, actually. Oh, and this is what the jacket sounds like. Not that I ever actually move like that. I'm very calm. Anyway, me and this noisy jacket are going to go over to my workbench, and I don't know how I'm going to do the neckline because I've been working with the jacket on the mannequin, but to do the neckline, I'm not really sure how I'm going to get at it. I guess I could pin the center fronts together and sort of sit the jacket. It's got so many structural layers, so many layers of netting that I think I can make it sit by itself, support its own weight, and then sort of just bead it that way. Because I have to get in the back to do the tying on and tying off where the mannequin is. So I don't know how I'd do it. Got to do the difficult bits though. Oh, I guess I could do the triangle first. But no, I have to do the neckline to know how many flowers I'm going to use up on that. Whatever. I'll go do something and then I'll come back and tell you what I did. Okay, laters. So yes, I did end up pinning the two fronts together so that it was just basically the whole jacket was a big tube, and then I put my 3 glass jars inside so they sort of held the jacket up a little bit so it didn't collapse completely because there is a lot of weight of beads on there. So that sort of basically kept its shape, and that way I had access to both the outside of the neckline plus the inside so that I could tie on and off each time I had to, start a new thread. So then I slowly went round because you can't just add everything all at once. You have to add thin, lightweight layers. And so this is me just showing you. I have used up an impressive number of the beads, but there's still enough to be going on with. So yes, it was night time at this point. So I think I did 2 rounds at this point and just sort of slowly going around. So I'd stitch on a bead and anchor it with a seed bead. Then I do a string, then I do a single bead, then I do a string. And that way there's not too much weight in any one spot on the jacket. And then you sort of just go all the way around, and then you start again on the other side and go all the way around. It's interesting because, yeah, there's just so many different beads you can use, and I try not to use two beads of the same type next to each other, and kept me entertained. So yes, I eventually did, I think this is me doing, and then I did a couple of more layers. And yeah, it's actually really enjoyable. At this point, I thought I think the way I'm working, I can actually also do the rise of the shoulders of the sleeves. But I thought I would just get as much done as I could on the neckline, because when you're working on the neckline, like personally, I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm super bored now. And then I have to do something else. But so I tried to sort of push to the absolute threshold of boredom before I stop. So yeah, so it was still pinned together at this point with the brass safety pins, I think. And yeah, and obviously it's the morning of the next day. But this is me just giving you a little close up. So you can see there's lots of different types of flowers still. And some of them are, and I did a little bit of the top centers as well. But yeah, and this is me remembering that I still have to do the joins of the sleeves. I think what I'm going to do is little, see how there's the flowers at the edge of the neckline? I think I'm going to do that over the rise of the shoulders on this shoulder seam as well. I'm going to do maybe 12 flowers over that, and then hanging down over the actual sleeve, I'll do some drips of beads down there. So it will look slightly different than the Boho Keys jacket, but essentially conceptually the same. Now, I think at this point I'm deciding that I should probably stop doing neckline work and either do the shoulders or do the triangle on the back. And I don't really have enough to do the triangle and the shoulder seams and fill in the neckline as much as I want to. So I've decided that and here I am getting distracted by the beautiful Boho Keys jacket. They're so different. It's amazing. I think actually they both look nicer in person, but that's maybe just in the software. The picture is tiny. It doesn't really do it justice at all. I can see them over my screen, and the two actual jackets are gorgeous. So then I did more work on the neckline. Because there was a lot of weight on it by this point, because I'd done several layers. I think like here there's maybe 4 layers or 6 layers. And yeah, so I ended up undoing the brass safety pins and just laying it flat on the table. And yeah, it's difficult because you've got long thread and you're trying to work around all these strings of beads, but you sort of get into a rhythm. And here we go. Now, this mannequin, I know a lot of you like this plain mannequin, but it's a little bit smaller than my actual size. So at the end, I put it on the mannequin with the pattern, the flowers and the hummingbirds on it. Because that's the correct size. So if you think the jacket doesn't quite fit properly on this mannequin, you are correct, but it shows you what the jacket looks like without the distraction of that fabric, printed fabric that I have on my other proper sized mannequin. So yes, and this is my bench was, because I had the jacket laid out flat, it kept knocking beads and flicking them everywhere, so I had to collect them up. And yeah, these are the little flower ones. So what I use on this jacket is what I'm using of the little beads, but the ones that I have left over of the little beads I will use on one of my Make 9 jackets. Is a cottage garden jacket. So it's going to be mainly green wool, and then it's going to have a beaded trim around it. I thought maybe I'd do the whole jacket like it was a whole garden and do garden beds all over the jacket and just have little green paths in it. But I think I'm just going to do a beaded trim around the edge of flowers and leave the jacket mostly green. And yes, so now I've done enough of the neckline. I'm over the neckline. So I tidied my beads. I put them back in the little bags. I will still do more at some point, but yeah, I've decided that, I've got the 2 watermelon jackets on my rack, and I love this one. It's just, this is the giant watermelon, and it's just, I am so proud of that one. I need to do another watermelon. Anyway, so I decided I want to do more sparkly sequins, and I've got some gold ones. If you know the Egyptian tweed jacket, I've got some of them left over from that, and I've got these vintage gold sequins as well, which I was just sort of sorting out some of my beads, and I came across and I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to use some of those. So there's a mix of regular gold and some vintage gold in there, but I've also got these other smaller sequins that I'm going to use for the second layer on top, and it's they're left over from my Egyptian tweed jacket. So first what I did was find the center of the back, and I pinned a pin in the center of the top, and I pinned a pin in the center at the bottom, and that's my center line. And then I did the triangle, like just based on those measurements. And instead of just stitching it, because I'm just doing sequins, I'm not doing beadwork, I just need pins around the edge. So I pinned my outline, and here I am filling it in. Originally, I was going to do a crowded one, like the watermelon, the piece of watermelon. It's really, really crowded with like 2 or 3 times as many sequins per inch as this triangle. But I love the way that you can see this print, this floral print through the sequin work. I absolutely love it. And I love the gerbras. I love the mauve, peony, rose. And I don't know, I just love this. I wasn't sure if I would like it or not. And I was like, oh, I'll just do it. And then if I don't like it, I can go back and fill in twice as many or 3 times as many sequins. But I absolutely love this. I don't know what it is about it, but I think it's because I use the vintage gold sequins in there, and I just love them so much. I don't know, and this is what the back looks like, so it's nice and neat. But yeah, again, when you're tying on and tying off, don't be tempted to neaten your thread and cut it right down. Leave the tails long, because yeah, it just helps carry the weight of the whole thread worth of beads and sequins. So yeah, when I started doing beading, it used to like irk me that I had to leave it a little bit messy, but it does carry the weight. Like, you know, I've got some jackets that are 15 years old and they're still looking good. They're still looking as they did. So I think if you do things the right way, then, you know, it's worth the investment in time. It does take quite a bit of time, but it's worth it. So that is all I had time to do. And so there's still no flowers over the rise of the shoulders, and the neckline still needs more. I think from far away you can see that there's not enough of those gold pebble ones around the neckline yet. I mean, there are some, but I obviously have to go through and layer more. So yeah, but this fabric is so pretty, and yeah, I really like it. There's so much to look at, and I actually really like the way I usually just wear my jackets open, so you can see, like, I normally just wear a t-shirt and jeans, and then and then jacket over the top, and I usually have the jacket sitting sort of relaxed and open, but I quite like the way it looks when it's together. So I might put hooks and eyes on the inside of the front so that you can join it together, because look at this back. Isn't it pretty? I've never done a spaced out one like this before, and it is very pretty. I think, you know, my cactus flower jacket, I was thinking, I've got these tiny little green transparent plastic leaves, and I was thinking of going in and just putting some of them in a triangle so that you would sort of see it and sort of not see that there's a triangle on the back. And I think I will now, because this is awesome. It is just, oh, and this is me trying to catch it from the side. It's just, you know, when like you're sitting reading a book on the sofa or whatever, and you're sitting there for so long that the ray of sunshine sort of travels right across the floor. It's got this ray of sunshine sort of feel to it. I don't know what it is, but it's like you can still see all the flowers and everything, but there's also this brightness of the gold. I don't know. I really like it, because I guess I wasn't sure if it was going to turn out. And then whenever something turns out that you didn't think it would, I'm always pleasantly surprised. And I think the bottom of the triangle, particularly the way there's the peony rose, the gold of the triangle, and then the gerbera daisies, it's really, really pretty. And the way I've used all different types of sequins in there, I don't know. I just think it's really cute, like really, really beautiful and complex and all sparkly and very pretty. I don't think it's particularly Byzantine. It was supposed to have the same vibes. I'm not sure that it does. But, I mean, I've used very old sequins in there, and Byzantine jewellery is very old, but it's not very old in the same sense. So, yes, there's still loads more to go, but they're getting there. And this one's not finished either, honestly. I've just looked at... I posted another short, and then I checked out my page while I was there, my YouTube page, and like the past 4 videos have been these 2 jackets. Like I made them, then I think I beaded the keys one, then I did another video where I was beading different parts of the keys jacket, and then I've done 2 on the floral one, and this will be the 3rd on the floral one. So I'm definitely doing green for next month, I think. So I've got a couple of different green cottons. So that's the green wool that I'm going to use for one of the New York ones and the cottage garden jacket. So they're both going to be little boleros. And I've also got this one with the little blue indigo flowers. So yes, I haven't used green fabric in the longest time. And as we all know, it is my favorite color. So I think that's what I'll do next. I might just pop these 2 on the rack and just work away at them a little bit every now and again. But I don't think there's still a little bit too much left on each one. I don't think I'll get either of them finished by the end of the month, but I've done a reasonable amount on each one, and I know how many more beads I'll need, and I know, roughly how much longer it'll take. A long time, but I'll get there eventually. This is officially my favourite bit of footage so far from making this jacket. I love the way all the other beading is like, it looks like it's encroaching, and then there's this just clearing in the forest, and it's got the triangle on it. It's amazing. I love this fabric. It's just been so much fun to work on. So I think maybe I'll do that floral cotton one with the indigo flowers on the navy background with the tiny little green leaves. I think I might do that one next, and like bead the whole thing, like do sequins over the whole of it so you can still see the fabric underneath. I think that would be... Oh, actually, I've got this other fabric that's got all different types of indoor plants on it, like all different leaves and branches and things. That would look good if it had sequins all over it, but you could still see all the different leaves underneath. That would be amazing. Anyway, that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you've been inspired to make a very, very unique jacket or 2 for yourself. Happy sewing.